Hey guys, Nick here, and welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and part 5 to What If Frieza Turned Good. Before we get into today's part, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse, and further acknowledge and support the future of the Omniverse by checking out the Patreon, Discord, and Google Doc on the homepage, as well as requesting and asking future expectations and what ifs in the comment section down below. With all that said, let's get started. We ended off last time with the android saga getting prepared for and the fated day arriving, with Vegeta and several others added into the mix, if you couldn't tell. Amenbo Island, all the warriors gather. And Bulma, Yamcha, and the newborn Trunks are there too. And we have added people and many changes, obviously. But the main ones are that pretty much everyone is stronger. Vegeta is actually there and won't be arriving late. Goku actually took the medicine because of Frieza's influence, as well as everybody else. Like, especially Frieza, Goku would know to take the medicine. And Frieza, who I think at this point would be spotting an outfit akin to the Turtle Hermit. So, pretty much like Goku's. Which, in my opinion, would be hilarious to see Frieza in a Goku outfit. So, yeah, that would be freaking hilarious. And we get into what would be Yamcha getting his energy stolen and getting impaled and all that stuff going the same. Except when Gero gets literally hears from Piccolo and everything about the androids and possibly Vegeta, he's even more surprised because of the extra people and the extra knowledge about them, and the fact that one of the people he's looking at, he doesn't know. Because remember, Dro and them never knew about Namek. So when Frieza mockingly jokes and berates the androids, especially Gero, he especially notifies the fact that these androids have no clue who they're dealing with. The former emperor of the universe, Lord Frieza. But when Goku and everybody says about the people on the island and the fact that Frieza keeps berating the androids, Gero's had enough. Gero, Android 20, begins to shoot one set of I-beams towards the city before he would then shoot a bunch. But the first blast doesn't even connect with the city, because Frieza basically outmatches that first I-beam with an I-beam of his own. And it basically is so big and so strong, obviously, that it basically cancels Gero's straight out and impales him. A huge set of two holes goes through Gero. But remember, he has eternal life, so he doesn't feel this pain. And honestly, it does hurt for a second, but, Gero got impaled by 17 before his head got kicked off. So, this doesn't really faze him. It does for a second. And then 19 begins to step up, with his arm showing the energy sealing and absorbing palm. Frieza still doesn't take note of this and begins to shoot a death beam. But he and everybody else then realize when 19 absorbs the death beam, they just done screwed up. And Frieza is very surprised at this because if these androids are so weak that they have to rely on energy absorption, and they are so strong, Frieza just gave him this android, Android 19, very, very, very strong power just from a weak death beam. And 19 begins to attack with small energy blasts, and yeah, this much stronger Frieza with freaking Golden Frieza added on to boost Saga level tier? Yeah, Frieza done goofed. But no one dies, because after 19 shoots these energy blasts, and it still hits the city anyway, pretty much, although the Z Warriors do some good in blocking or at least evading some of the blasts while also trying not to destroy the city in the process, Goku mentions that they should probably exit the city for risk of, killing the populace. And Jiro, he just says, why not? But everybody else will be included in the death streak. Goku isn't the only one included anymore. So they all go to the wasteland where they fought in canon, except this time when Jiro, Android 20's drilled for information, he's far more angry, apprehensive, and on guard because of what he just had to deal with. But with 19's energy skyrocketed past even his calculations, this goes to show that if he had just absorbed that I-beam and knew that this Frieza character was this strong and possibly looked at that Namek data, they would not be doing this right now. They would all be dead. So once they're done talking, Vegeta says what Frieza already told them. They made a big mistake not knowing about Namek and all the other planets besides Earth, because now they have to deal with him. And Vegeta automatically goes to Mastered Super Saiyan, because remember, he has that in this story way earlier. And like I said, this is Vegeta pretty much in my Super Saiyan Vegeta and Immortal Vegeta level tier of power, if you haven't seen those stories, and says that he's only here to get rid of these tin cans and get revenge on Frieza and Kakarot. So these androids are just collateral damage. And he immediately rushes in for the kill and kicks 19 square in the stomach. But remember, 19 absorbed Frieza's, even if it was weak, small death beam. So this only hurt him a little bit. Vegeta and 19 are pretty much even in this story, because especially now that 19's absorbed this energy. If he didn't, Vegeta would have killed him in one blow, no sweat. But that's not the case here. So 19 just smiles, punches down his leg, and then holsters up for a punch square in Vegeta's face. But this barely phases the prince, because again, they're even in terms of power. Very, very close, if not one stronger slightly than the other. Vegeta then goes for another kick, this time square in the chin. And then 19 squares up a punch straight in the face. So this is basically like Piccolo and 17, how they were so evenly matched that they basically kept on punching and kicking each other right near the end of their fight. Yeah, it's pretty much like that. And this is just right when they're fighting. It's not even like, that whole fight, because I'm not going to replicate that kind of fight through these people in this story. That's not what this is about. And it's definitely not that fight, so it's not the main focus. So while Frieza and Jiro set eyes on each other, Jiro wanting to get back at Frieza for that huge I-beam, Vegeta and 19 are still fighting, and Vegeta squares up a huge knee in 19's face, and then doesn't allow him the chance to attack again, so he slams a chop square to 19's face, and then a huge sledgehammer, slamming him into the ground. So Vegeta's about to punch him and finish him off for good, because he knows he's not down, since they're so even. But this time, Vegeta's actually taken real damage. But 19, as before, has faked this and grabs onto Vegeta's arms. Vegeta tries his trick, like in canon, to basically rip 19's arms off and basically, kicks him straight in the face and is trying to do that, but it's not working. Not like canon, it's not working. He tries harder. It's still not working. He tries harder again. It's still not working. Then he tries to power up, but even that's not working. And then he tries going beyond Mastered Super Saiyan, but he feels his energy is depleting. This isn't helping at all. Because they're even, Vegeta thinks to himself, that's a really bad thing. And he ultimately blames Frieza for this, but he has no time to worry about getting mad at Frieza. He's having his energy sucked away, and he can't get him off. He really should not have let 19 grab him, but he keeps trying to get him off. He keeps trying to pull him off, but no matter what he does to power up, it is not working in the slightest. But before he can try one final tug to break 19's arms off, it happens. Vegeta yells out a huge scream of pain and realizes 19 ripped his arms off. And Vegeta yells to the high heavens because this hurt a lot. And blood would be spewing out of both of his arms. This isn't like Android 19 where it was just slight oil and whatnot. This is a Saiyan with his arms literally getting broken off. And if Vegeta had let 19 keep hold of him longer in canon, this would have happened to him and we would have been screwed in the Dragon Ball universe. But before 19 can capitalize on this, Goku, with 19 off guard, powers to his highest level, Super Saiyan 2, right from the start, not allowing 19 to kill Vegeta or one of them. And with 19 off guard and Goku at his full power, Super Saiyan 2, he is able to sledgehammer 19, and his head is completely ripped off. So yes, 19 absorbed a death beam and a huge amount of Vegeta's power, and would honestly be very, very, very close to Golden Frieza in this timeline. I'm not even joking you. But he was so full to have his guard down, and Goku capitalized on it. With Gero seeing this, he knows that while 19 proved a significant bunch against these people, he wasn't enough. And Vegeta is the closest that he got to. But with these people, and so many of them left still, Gero's worried that not only is he next, but he might not even have a chance to swipe one of their energies. So, he takes one last look at the Z Fighters, and he runs. He flies out of there as fast as he can towards the mountains, like in canon. Because the Z Fighters are so worried about Vegeta, because he's literally spewing a huge amount of blood out of both of his arms. So they can't worry about Dr. Gero or Android 20, because they're too worried about him. He's literally bleeding out of both of his arms. So they try to give him a few senzu beans. They would give him 2 or 3 because they think that one is definitely not going to work here. But even though the senzu beans seem to stabilize him, they don't fully heal him. They don't bring him his arms back. And Vegeta doesn't even want to get up once he reaches some form of consciousness because the prince just lost both of his arms. He's not going to want to be seen or fight like this. Vegeta is literally in a state of can't do anything. And Yamcha says that the only thing that they can do for Vegeta is get him out of the battlefield because he literally can't do anything. What's he going to fight with his feet? And if that android could absorb one blast and rip Vegeta's arms off and grow that strong that Goku had to catch him off guard, they can't risk making that same mistake. They have to do what these androids just did to Vegeta back to the remaining android. Because, again, they don't know about the lab. So Yamcha offers to take Vegeta back to Capsule Corp. So Piccolo, Gohan, Krillin, Tien, Goku, and Frieza all venture to go after Gero, who at least I think one of them would have seen him go to the mountains, but honestly, they were all too preoccupied with Vegeta. And Gero is in the mountains, and he thinks to himself, since given this extra amount of time, that he definitely should go back to the laboratory. And honestly, he's very close to getting to that point. But by this point, the Earthlings and everybody have made it to the mountains. And Krillin blasts a Kamehameha instead of Vegeta in Vegeta's place, and Gero prepares to absorb it, thinking this Earthling is so stupid that he would openly blast not only where his friends might be, but the fact that he just blasted out of nowhere, presuming that he was there. And it seems like this is a Vegeta move, but this was bait. Because just when Jiro's preparing to absorb it, a death slicer just comes zooming right at Dr. Gero, and it slices off both of his arms. This was bait, because they knew he couldn't have gotten far, and he was probably thinking about a strategy. Because, like I said again, they can't presume he would have gotten very far in the short amount of time that all this was going on, and I think one of them would have at least seen him going towards the mountains. So, really, this was just the bait they needed to get Gero, disarmed like they did to Vegeta. And Frieza smirks, thinking this android's so stupid to have fallen for this bait. And he prepares a death beam square at Gero and says, "Any last words before you join your friend?" And Gero just smirks. Because true, he doesn't have any arms, but unlike the prince of all Saiyans, this newcomer, Emperor Frieza, forgot one key thing. He has eyes. And Gero launches another eye beam, but Frieza just catches it, circles it around into his own energy blast, smirks, says nice try to the bot, and just kills him. So you might think, with all this going on, besides Vegeta being disarmed, literally bleeding out, had to begin sensu beans, brought back to Capsule Corp, and the two androids dying here, this is supposed to be the end of the story. And apparently Trunks' time went kind of the same, which I'm going to explain a little bit on that before I get into what I'm about to. You might be thinking, how is Trunks' time here not different? Like you've put in other stories? Well, let's just say Frieza on Namek, he didn't stay good very long and ended up betraying Goku and pretty much it going down per canon. Because sometimes Trunks' time deserves to at least remain somewhat sort of in the story. Because if I did it differently than a future Frieza, it would just get way too complicated. But if I were to do a remake on this, maybe. I'm just thinking that a future Frieza wouldn't have really done much, and it would honestly have complicated the King Cold, Yardrat, and all that bit. So I more or less had to make Trunks' time stay the same. So that's that blown out of the way for you guys, for those of you who were questioning that. So you guys might be thinking, with all this, is it over? Wrong. Because when Trunks gets there, he sees 19 and then gets with the Z Fighters, and he tells them all, it's good to see that Goku took the medicine and that he can actually trust Frieza now, seeing him in the Goku outfit. But those aren't the androids. Seeing, 19 and now Jiro's like literal parts all around, since I feel that there would be at least a bit for him to see, maybe, if it weren't Ash by Frieza. But these aren't the androids that attacked his time, for one thing. And then another, he asks where his father is. And Goku spills the news. And Trunks is automatically angry and surprised, thinking his father is dead. But Goku just holds both arms up and says Yamcha brought him back to Capsule Corp and he'll be okay. They gave him senzu beans to stabilize him, but he doesn't have his arms anymore, so they gotta figure that out. Speaking of Capsule Corp, Bulma's ship arrives and Bulma's there, and they get the laboratory info out. And then if Yamcha didn't pass her along the way, she would have to be told about Vegeta and then offer to go back, to Capsule Corp and all that stuff. And she would go alone because there's no reason for Gohan to go because Goku's here and he, took the medicine. So she would just go back alone to Capsule Corp and make sure that Yamcha and Vegeta and everything are okay. But while everyone goes in search of the laboratory, because of what Trunks has said, no longer on the pursuit of Gero, but this time in pursuit of the lab specifically, that's what they're going to do. Except Gohan's going to be with, Frieza's with, Goku's with, everyone's stronger, and there's no Gero. So yeah. Also, while all this is going on, a green bug-like figure stares at all of them from a distant part of the mountains. Because of these huge power levels, this creature has actually surfaced sooner from a wasteland preparing to launch a feasting on a city. But these huge power levels brought him here, and now he sees why that is. This creature, he doesn't know him. Not this time. Frieza? He doesn't know him. But seeing that the prince is not in control, his creator's been destroyed, and this little puppet white android has been killed after taking out the prince, Trunks is here, and they're going towards the lab for 17 and 18. And this poses an interesting thought. If he can get to the lab first, nothing will stop him from getting his wish to become the perfect being. And so, unbeknownst to any of them, he holds his power and begins his own tracking of the lab. Except he actually knows way more than the Z fighters, even with a little tip from that Bulma, where the lab is. So, without any of them knowing, this creature, Cell, makes his way towards the lab. Who will get there first? What will the group do without Vegeta? And if Cell gets to the lab first and becomes perfect, can they even stop him? How much stronger is the Cell in this time, or is he literally the same tier and will get literally bodied by everyone concerned, considering he can't absorb energy? And what about 16 and the rest of the lab, like present Cell? What will that do? And what about the future of the story? Find out in part 6.